Hi, welcome to the Watercolour Westport Stories podcast. It's going to be an exciting time today where you're going to be able to connect with Joan. She is a resident and member of the community here in Watercolour, and she brings an enthusiasm for nature and people and hospitality and family that I'm sure will inspire you. If you can see yourself living in watercolor, I am sure that you will quickly become friends with Joan as she welcomes people on her porch and in her home in ways that are so meaningful to so many people. Stephen Rolston, founder and builder of Land Ark homes and watercolor and the visionary behind this community, will be joining her in a conversation that will inspire and inform you in ways that we hope will lead you to come and explore watercolor for yourself.
Hi everybody, Stephen Rolston here with the Watercolour Westport Stories podcast. So today we're interviewing Joan Buma. And Joan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. Good to be here.
Thanks very much for having us and making time to be here with Patrick and I.
Yeah.
So maybe we're going to start with these typical questions, the who, what, where, when, why, how. As somebody taught me at the Cottage Life show, who had to do an interview for a show, and that's what we're going to touch on, but we're just going to be led by the conversation and just see where these things go. But can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Joan?
Well, let's see. I've been coming to this area all my life, and it holds a special place in my heart. John and I are going to be blessed to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary this summer, and we've been blessed with 3 children who all found partners, and we have 10 grandchildren. So our life is full to the brim, and coming here has just been like a complete circle. It's just absolutely love it here, and I can't imagine living anywhere else. Yeah. So, and as for career path, well, I was a teacher for several years. I taught science in high school. I was a stay-at-home mom for several years, and during that time I wrote a few children's books, and so I don't know what the word boredom means because I've never experienced it, but anyway.
And so where did you raise your family?
So, well, we had a child born in Chatham, and then right after that we moved to Parry Sound, had a child born there. Then we moved to Brantford, had a child born there. And then for the last 30 years before we moved here, we lived in Grimsby in the Niagara Peninsula. So our children have had various locations, and I would think they would all say that this is their favorite area. And one of them, when they heard we were going to move here, decided this was the place for them. So we have children and grandchildren right down the street. So lived in various places, and hands down this is our favorite. Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about when you found out about watercolor.
Okay. I'll give you the whole story. So we were renting what used to be our cottage, and my husband came to the cottage all excited. He says, there's going to be a new development in Westport. They've started. And he says, I brought home their brochure. And I said, well, where is it? And, well, it's behind the beer store. Well, I said, I'm not living behind the beer store in Westport. And so, but sure, I'll go see it. So a few days later, we came in. And I walked in the house, and the beauty of it struck me, but that's all. And then I was introduced to the developer, which happens to be you, Steve. And his passion for the place, and I'd have to say your integrity. And as John said, if there was a paper to sign, I would have signed it. So everything, even though there was no way I was moving to Westport and living behind the beer store, everything came together, and I knew instantly that this is where I was going to live. Now, it took a little bit of convincing for my better half, but yeah. And I would say your vision of community and our knowledge of the area and all those things just converged. And I knew this is where I wanted to be and where I needed to be. Yeah.
It's so interesting hearing it in John's words and your words. So our questions that we ask, just so that any other watercolor residents who are listening in can feel comfortable, because that's all we really want to do is connect existing residents and build community. And by existing residents, we mean residents of old Westport and new Westport, and anyone who's thinking this might be their right next step. And we just want to invite them in this podcast just to listen and learn and educate themselves, inform themselves, but hopefully be motivated, inspired, encouraged, or challenged to maybe come for a minimum viable experience and dine in one of the 7 dining establishments. And then there are 2 in the summer, so maybe we can segue with that.
Sure. Well, I'm going to, when people are walking around watercolor and kind of looking, and they say, do you like living here? I have a hard time, calming down my enthusiasm, because the first thing that comes to mind is I love walking, and I can walk everywhere. I can walk a block and be at the doctor's. I can walk 2 blocks and be at the town hall to pay my taxes. I can say to John, oh, I'd like some dinner out and live music. And I walk 2.5 blocks and I'm at the Cove and I'm enjoying live music. And so we run out of a few things in groceries. Well, we have the nicest grocery store called Kadrinko's, and I walk there. And I walk to church, which is like a block and a half. I step out of my home and I can walk, we're hikers, I can walk for literally kilometers and kilometers. I can walk up to Foley's, I can walk all the trails, I can walk on the Rideau Trail, go to Old Bob. I can walk around the community. We love Westport. So even if I'm feeling more like a forest walk, John's often just feeling like doing the loops through town. And we not only have community here in Watercolour Westport, but in all of Westport. And so we walk down the street and literally greeting everybody, and we have met some of the most treasured people. And then in watercolors, we're sitting on our front porch and people stop by and we pull up a couple of chairs. If we want just the 2 of us, which we do want on occasion, we're on our screen porch at the back of the house where we're connected to outdoors. And outdoor living is my favorite place to be. So yeah, I just... I tell people that stop me on the street and say, how do you like living here? I say to them, if you decide to live here, it will be one of the best decisions you ever make. So, and we've been here now for almost 3 years. We lived in Grimsby for 30 years, and we loved Grimsby. But suddenly Toronto discovered Grimsby. And so Grimsby got so built up, the entire Niagara Peninsula, the QEW traffic was often a nightmare. We don't even know what traffic is in Westport because most of us are walking. So I said to someone, my joy is complete here, and it is. And none of this, if people don't know me, they think, oh, maybe she's exaggerating. I'm not. This is how it is. And in the summertime, I walk, if it's brisk, 7 minutes. If it's not brisk, 10 minutes down to the beach. I love open water swimming. I love taking our little granddaughters to the beach. When the perch come in April, you'll find us down at the harbor. It's another 10-minute walk at most, fishing. We have rented a pontoon boat and gone all through. We're on the Rideau. We go through locks. I know there's people here that will hop in their kayaks and do that. And the other thing we love is biking. So beautiful places to bike around here. And we bike to Narrows Lock and through there and up the North Shore Road. And so I guess even though I'm now in my 70s, I am more active than I probably have ever been because the outdoors is right there. But if you let me, I'll say something about the home too.
Or talk about the blue zone idea too.
Oh, the blue zone.
That to
Okay.
me is quite exciting. Whereas I think our YouTube channel with 10 hours of mostly net zero information.
Oh yes,
the podcast idea is more about just informal conversation about what it's like to live here.
Yeah, so I've always been intrigued by blue zone. And
explain to people who aren't familiar with that term maybe what it means.
Okay, so blue zone are specific pockets, there's not a lot of them, in the entire world, where there's a lot of people living well into even their hundreds. And they have a certain lifestyle. And that lifestyle includes natural activity, which we have in spades here. It includes being in community. Okay, can I just tell you about community? So I have a walking group. There's a group of ladies, and I would say 4 or 5 times a week we're doing 7-8 kilometers. I have a mahjong group. Now, that's really good for the mind because you're learning something new. I have a book club group. I'm well grouped here. And that is another thing in Blue Zone is having community is really good for your well-being. So we've got the activity right outside our door. I look forward to the day we have a community garden because a lot of the Blue Zones eat significantly plant-based diets. There is some meat, but it's mainly plant-based. And the other components, so I've hit on diet, community, natural active living, and then there's a faith component and feeling spiritually connected. Well, when you're in creation, whether you know it or not, you are spiritually connected. And so I find that this is not a contrived blue zone, but I could see Westport, the village of Westport, being a blue zone because everything is here. It doesn't have to be brought in, it's here. And so that's been a bonus. I would say, something that surprised us was the air quality. We didn't even think about that, right? So we're in the Niagara Peninsula and we're downwind from the steel factories and we're in the fruit belt, which is wonderful, but they spray with pesticides and stuff. We didn't even think about the fact that we are going to have this glorious clean air. And so so that was a bonus, something we didn't even think about and look forward to. I do want to say one thing about the homes, though. Because we moved away from family, and friends, we have visitors all the time. And these homes are not only beautiful, they're functional. And so it is so easy. Like, I'm not an entertainer. People talk about entertaining, whoa. And it's just so easy for us. We just had guests night before last staying over. And and that's also a part of well-being and community. So, yeah, I think it's a natural blue zone here. I don't think there's anything that needs to be contrived, other than maybe a community garden and maybe a community pickleball court. Although, there's another thing. The arena, which is right across the street from us, when they're not playing hockey, and if you enjoy hockey, that's all winter long, they change the rink into pickleball courts. And we walk over and we play pickleball. And how beautiful for me not to get into a car. It's just not my favorite mode of transportation. So I can walk to pickleball.
And maybe, Joan, we could have you share why you wanted to get away from the QEW and the brake lights and the traffic, because that too is a little bit of your story.
Yes. So at the end of 2019, I was in a car accident, fractured my neck and my sternum, and through the grace of God, all my limbs work and everything. So I never did like traffic. John can tell you that. I wasn't the most pleasant passenger. But that accelerated that. And we're going back on Friday because my mother's turning 98. And so, and I will go, but I won't like the travel. And I will breathe easy when I come back to Westport. And we do, on occasion, maybe once a month, go into Perth or go into Kingston. I was in a Scrabble tournament in Gananoque, and that's one of my passions. And I took all these little back roads to Gananoque, most beautiful drive. Like, I don't have to go on a 400 series. I don't have to go on a QEW. I don't have to face what happens to your whole well-being as you go through Toronto. I don't have to do that. And and we went to theater in Gananoque. We have biked to a winery just north of here in Bolingbrook. Is an amazing winery and a great place to bike. So I don't have to get into a car, and that just suits me fine.
And maybe you could give a shout out to the two wineries.
Okay, so there's a lovely winery just a couple blocks away that we can walk to. And Francois, the chef there, is amazing. It is an outdoor venue, so that's a more of a nice weather venue. But the other thing we do is we go to the River House Winery, and it is state-of-the-art beautiful. And as I say, there's beauty around every corner there. And that was the place where my mom and dad started their married life, on that farm, which is now back in the family and has been turned into a gorgeous winery. And Chef Nick does a wonderful job. And so that's sort of a highlight too. But we can go there in our bike clothes, that's okay. And they have a wine tasting room and all of that. So yeah, And the restaurants in town, we've been to them all, enjoy them all. And if I don't feel like cooking, I just simply say to John, let's walk down the street. And so, yeah. So that's, it's amazing. I think we're the smallest municipality in Ontario. And how can it be that it's really a hamlet. It's not a town, it's a hamlet. How can it be that we have live music, except for a couple months in the winter, every night of the week? A beautiful brewery, which is a deck looking over the Rideau, a beautiful place to enjoy a glass of wine and stroll around the winery there. I mean, how can it be? I'm really proud of this place, that it has everything that a big city would have, only you feel like you're at the cottage. So, like, for me, there is just, and I have lived many places, and I have traveled to many places. And in fact, this is our first winter since John retired that we're not going to a southern destination, and we do not feel hard done by. I cross-country ski, we can walk out our door, cross-country ski. Yeah, it's just, it's a different vibe in the wintertime. You don't have to make reservations most of the time. and we like that. And we like the vibe in the summertime. It's a happening place. Everybody wants to come to Westport. And what they need to learn is they want to live in Westport. That would be my thought anyway. I love it so much. So yeah, so in the wintertime, it's still a great place to be. It's a quieter place, but a great place. Yeah.
And how have you found making friends? Because I think that is the number one frequently asked question we have is, I think people are so set in their family of origin or their circles or their networks that the number one thing we hear that holds people back is, how am I going to make friends? How am I going to have a new community group, or how am I going to get to know anyone?
Right. So that was instant. My dear friend Mona was the first person to buy in watercolor, and the first person we met other than the watercolor team. And we were kindred spirits from the start. And through her kindness and generosity, she introduced me to other people, some in watercolor, some in Westport, who have become treasured friends. And I think I've probably got too many. But there isn't any such thing as too many friends. And we have now met people in phase 2 that have become friends and true friendship. Like, it's not just acquaintances. So no, it was never a concern of mine because John is my best friend. And so when I'm with him, I am at home wherever I am. But the community is so incredibly rich. You just have to step out your door. That's it. It's that simple. And Westport as a village has all kinds of things going on. Like, you can go to bingo on Monday nights in the middle of the winter if you're looking for some activity. And they have a great seniors group, and they walk together, and they have euchre. Like, we have so many dedicated people at the Legion that give back to the community in so many ways. We have the cutest little library with the best librarian. We even have a little children's section, which is great for my granddaughters. We have a youth section, and when our older grandchildren were here for a week or so, and they're like, Nana, this is so great. This is the little village of Westport with this fantastic library. We are attending the Free Methodist Church, but they are a church that's just open to everyone, and they have ladies' night once a month, and the activities available here blow me away. So as I say, if you step out your door, you will be connected. It's as easy as that. Yeah.
So I know from my wife's experience hiking and being in a group of ladies who run, I just think women are innately wired to connect more easily, from my experience.
Oh, yes, I think there's truth to that.
And men, maybe not so much, but your husband has become a part of some guys who also have become walkers and hikers. Yeah. What would you say to anyone whose husband, or for the men watching or listening,
yes,
how might they, how do you anticipate, or do you have anything to say to them that
sure
an encouragement to them?
Yeah, you can be as involved as you want to be. I remember meeting someone a man who was looking around here, and his thing is hockey. Well, I know Richard plays hockey. There's a group over there that they just walk across the street with their skates, and there's an arena, and I don't think they should call them old timers. I'll call them, there's a vintage hockey group. If you like to watch hockey, we've got Junior C team there. John, my husband, who he likes solitude, so it surprises me, but he met a stranger on the street, and the stranger saw him with a pickleball racket, and he said, oh yeah, come, let me show you. And now that gentleman is an American that likes to spend a lot of time here, and they play pickleball. And the great thing about pickleball is you just walk over and you play with who's ever there. And they're all gracious, because none of us, well, I shouldn't speak for all of us, but some of us like me are terrible, and they don't care. We just, I'm a terrible pickleball player. I admit it, but I love it. And it's not competitive, which suits me fine. But there's a pickleball group. You can ride your bike right to Newborough and have super competitive pickleball, which I know some men love. And yeah, John started hiking with Eric, who moved in just in September, and they have become fast friends. And now Peter, who lives in Watercolour, is involved in that, and a man from our church, Doug Jarvis, that John calls them the Band of Brothers. If you had told me John would be doing this, I wouldn't have believed it. So, yes. And if you like euchre, which some men really enjoy playing cards, so I would say to male or female, you can be as involved as you want to be. There is opportunities, unbelievable opportunities. We have a Lions Club, and there's men and women in it, and they just, I'm so grateful to them. They keep the beach. Can you imagine in Westport proper, we have the most gorgeous sandy beach with a whole grassy area with picnic tables. You know how I never really liked the beach with the kids because it was sand. Well, you're on lawns with picnic tables. And the Lions group looks after that beach, all out of the goodness of their heart. They clean the bathrooms, they rake the beach, and I'm so grateful to that group of men and women. And so there's opportunities to serve. So there's a little thrift store, and I volunteer there, and several of my friends in Westport volunteer there, and it's just a great community spot. Can you imagine such a small town village as Westport having a place with subsidized housing? Like, I think that's incredible. And it's right in the village, and I love the cross section of generations, of socioeconomic, of people of different faiths. I love the rich community that is in Westport.
So do I. When I fell in love with Westport some 25 years ago, I couldn't believe this is like Niagara-on-the-Lake, where our family went as a child for picnics.
Yes.
It was just so idyllic that this is a time, or a land that time forgot. There has been no development here really in 100 years, relatively speaking, for a home builder talking about development. And I just think, it's just, as an OPP officer said, he could have lived anywhere. And as he said, this isn't a town of, say, 700 people. This is a town of like 7 or 17,000 people because of the tourism and the impact that it has.
Yes.
But,
so there's a part of me, Steve, you may not want to hear this, there's a part of me that would like to keep this a hidden treasure, right? Because it is just so beautiful as it is. But I have found that everybody that has bought in watercolor, just like the people of Westport, want to contribute. We're not here to take, we're here to give. And I find that in old Westport and in this new part, we want to be part of something uniquely beautiful. And I come from Niagara. And if you ask me to choose my Niagara-on-the-Lake here in Westport or that one, hands down it's here. There is tourism is really healthy here in the summertime, but there is an underlying vibe that is just so beautiful. People looking out for one another. And I'm so grateful to be part of that.
So am I.
Yes,
Yeah.
So grateful. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joan, so much for making time for us, because I think people will so enjoy watching and or listening to these, because then it's not from the developer or the founder's perspective. It's from people's real life experience of what it's like to live here.
Right.
But I just want to ask you one more question.
Yes.
Because I think people in my old stomping ground of Oakville and Mississauga.
Oh, yes.
And a stint in Scarberia before going back to Mississauga and Oakville. But having grown up there, we moved to Stittsville, my fiance and I, to get a start in home building because the value of the land was half price.
Oh, yes.
And now it's still half price. But we couldn't afford Stittsville anymore, where we moved to. And for my children, for the sake of attainability, we won't say affordability anymore.
Okay, attainability.
Because, groceries aren't really affordable. A new car, a liter of gas, pick your fill in the blank idea. But I think Team Mississauga, Team Oakville would love to know what you get to do in your backyard.
In our backyard.
With your grandkids.
Oh, yes.
To have a...
Yes, so we have a fire pit in our backyard. So I had thought we would buy a cottage in this area because we had one for years. And John said, I don't want to own 2 properties. And I said, that's fine, honey. We'll buy a permanent home on the lake. He said, I don't want the isolation. Well, there goes my dream. So I think I've lost my trend here of what I was thinking. Oh yes, the backyard. So he said, let's have a fire pit. And so we didn't know how we were going to make the backyard work. And it was Kevin from the watercolor team said, what about a raised patio? And then you could put your fire pit there. So yes, we do this with our grandchildren. We've done it with neighbors. We've done it with people we pickleball with that we've just met. And we have a hot dog roast.
Or s'mores, no doubt, in your backyard.
Oh yes, s'mores too. And yeah, the children love it back there. We are blessed to have trees all around our particular lot. And John said, well, if I'm moving to Westport, it's going to be that lot. And I am going to restore the cemetery. And my beautiful husband literally spent, not hours, weeks, months, restoring the cemetery. And so that's part of our backyard. And we love our neighbors. And I love that the children can skip upon the rocks. And yeah, you'll see our 10 grandchildren. Now, they all came at Christmas, but of course we didn't have a fire pit party then. But we will again. And yeah, I love the backyard. I love the back. And my favorite spot, if I had to choose a favorite spot, it's the screened-in porch. It's a tiny porch and screens on 2 sides of it, windows on 3, and we have this breeze going through, and John and I have lunch out there. We have breakfast. And in fact, people say, oh, well, it's not 4 seasons. We had lunch out there last week because the sun was shining in. So, yeah. So, I can't even tell you one thing I don't like. So, there you have it.
Thank you so much, Joan, for making time to share with others this idea of connecting to nature and neighbor.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Creation. Neighbors. Yeah. It's just all right here. So, thank you, Steve, for having the brilliant inspiration to create this place.
It is a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor, because we don't want to wreck Westport. We just want to welcome 2 families a month and help them experience the beauty and the awe and the wonder.
Yes, yeah, and we support businesses in the off season, which is great. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you for joining us today for the Watercolour Westport Stories podcast. We hope you've been inspired. You can like, follow, share our podcast with others through YouTube and Facebook, and connect with us through our website at watercolourwestport.com.